Usawa is a serious game and is the immersion in an Afro-futuristic environment and mini-games. The goal is to inform and shed light on slavery in Africa and to inspire the player to fight against its enduring legacies. Exploring a new environment, the player comes into interactions with characters and has to play mini-games in order to advance the story and to help fight slavery. One of the characteristics of the game is the production process. Based on qualitative research made by young villagers in their communities and inspired by scenarios they elaborated. The design of the game has defined by West African artists and was developed by Jiwe Studios in Kenya. The game design and production has therefore a strong anchorage in Africa and is based on African narratives.
Mon rôle dans le gameplay Usawa, c'est l'animation, c'est-à-dire donner vie à des images figées, que ce soit les personnages, les animaux ou les objets qu'on doit déplacer dans le jeu. Pour ça, j'ai utilisé deux techniques, qui est l'animation frame by frame, c'est-à-dire image par image, et le cut-out qui consiste à démembrer, découper pour ensuite faire l'animation.
I really enjoyed making this game, and I was very fortunate to work with a very talented group of people. With each of us coming from different parts of the world, I feel like everybody was able to bring something unique, and I feel like that mix of creativity was able to come up with something that I hope you enjoy. I also really enjoyed working on the theme, which was about slavery and how it could affect a community. And I really feel like we put our best foot forward to make something that you'd like.
Je travaille à ce jour dans une scène de radio, là où je suis le responsable digital. J'ai le plaisir d'être dans l'équipe de développement du jeu Usawa, un jeu qui a pour but d'expliquer la culture malienne. Je suis le chargé de UI design dans ce projet. Je suis heureux de partager une telle expérience avec toute l'équipe que chacun je tire le chapeau à son domaine.
This game is based partly on some of my research about slavery in West Africa and especially in Mali. The lingering consequences of slavery still plague many communities in Africa today. In West Africa, people were even killed in recent years because they refused to be called slaves.
Discovering the history of slavery through an animated Afro-futuristic environment and the interaction with characters.
Gamification is a powerful way to disseminate knowledge and to generate empathy. This medium has the potential to mobilize allies, to oppose slavery in all its forms and prevent its legacies from being passed on to the next generation.
Games are a way to connect with the current generation and share information and experiences in a way that may have not been possible because it's interactive and allows us to put players into the shoes of characters, that allows them to experience things from a different perspective.
C'est une famille qui quitte une planète appelée Njambur pour déménager dans une autre planète appelée Awa. Là, ils se trouvent confrontés à des problématiques d'esclavage par ascendance. Le joueur peut choisir d'incarner une fille ou un garçon.
The player can choose to embody either a girl or a boy coming from the Jambu planet. He or she is moving to a new planet and facing the issue of slavery that divides the people into two categories, the so-called slaves and the so-called nobles. Because of their non-submission to slavery, people with ascribed slave status are threatened with violence and exile. Some of the characters represent the oppression of the nobles on the people considered slaves. Others are the victims of this phenomenon. Yet, the divine is not so binary. Some characters also display passivity, thus giving the advantage to the more powerful party. The main character and her family represent the role that allies can have in ending a discriminatory situation. Slavery is not only an issue affecting victims and direct perpetrators. The game showcases how passivity makes people complicit in oppression.
The game does not confront players with moral dilemmas in itself. Nonetheless, the player can choose to give up the fight against slavery, becoming another passive accomplice to the phenomenon.
We intend to reach mainly the African youth that are the first force able to end slavery and change mentalities and behaviors. Other versions in French and Bambara will be released so that the game can be experienced by players across Africa.
Though not under a classical educational form, the content of the game is based on solid qualitative research on slavery in Africa and gives players a realistic idea of the consequences on the victims today.
We were faced with two main challenges in this project. The first one was that people have often a fixed idea of what slavery is. They identify slavery with chattel slavery in the Americas and with the Atlantic slave trade. Yet slavery can have many hidden forms and non-obvious ones, like the ones exposed in this game. The second challenge was about how can we expose players to violent themes without risk of re-traumatization. So the game doesn't hide the severity of the consequences of slavery. It doesn't go through the most extreme forms of violence, and not explicitly. The idea was to make the game as accessible as possible to a younger public.
We adapted the themes and representations to a younger audience with colorful characters and environment. Indeed, the issue of slavery in some parts of Africa is still taboo and not always visible at first glance. Moreover, although the aim of the game is to end slavery on the planet, gaming is adapted to what a child can do. The game is about informing and changing mentalities related to slavery.
It would be great if the game started a conversation about what can be done as allies to participate in ending slavery in all its forms.
It is accessible on the GWS Studio platform, as an app on Android, and ultimately on iOS compatible.
It was part of the project to make this game free and easily accessible.
First, we plan to make it accessible on iOS, and then to have a multilingual version in French, Swahili, and Bambara, and to enrich the environment designed based on players' comments. Moreover, we'll work on making it as accessible as possible, lessening the need for text, reading for the player, thus adapting it to less literate audience. We will also like to integrate more explicitly issues like the issues surrounding marriage ban between people of different castes. Ultimately, we will go VR. We will do an animation film around this universe and even have a Usawa 2 where we'll fight modern human trafficking. We are definitely going to take the experience into VR. Let the games begin!
Embark with us on this adventure.
Come and try it.
So just go for it.